But
do they have
anyway,
military fortification around these hills in Taiwan? I mean, obviously, they would have to guard that very extensively if you're saying there's that much assets there. Yeah,
sure. And their big plan for when China invades is to scoot out the backside with all their gold. But anyway, getting back to the thread.
Right. So the Kuomintang fled China to Taiwan.
All right, but what happened was the Western powers, the Western oligarchs, let's call them, their plan was to take all the gold out of private hands in the world.
And what time frame are we in now? 1938?
This is starting in the 30s. Remember, 1934, Roosevelt banned the private ownership of gold.
Right, allegedly due to the Great Depression and the need to...
And the Jews didn't want to give up their gold. That was one reason why they were rounded up and sent to concentration camps. And the Asians didn't want to give up their gold. That's why they sent the Japanese army to come in and take it, you know?
Okay.
All right, so they wanted to...
Because the Federal Reserve wanted to... I mean, the basic idea was Roosevelt said, everybody who's... I mean, because some people may still not know this if they're that ignorant, that the Federal Reserve confiscated everybody's gold. Even if you had it in a safe deposit box in the bank, they looted your safe deposit box and they took your gold away, correct?
Yeah, they're doing that now, too.
Really?
If you have gold in a safety deposit box and they haven't taken it yet, get it out. It's ASAP.
Wow.
Anyway, let's go back to the history.
Okay.
1944, they had the Bretton Woods Agreement. And at this agreement, a gold-backed international financial system was set up. And most of the gold that would not be being controlled by the Western powers was removed from the market.
How do you mean removed from the market? You mean it wasn't...
It was blacklisted and hidden in caves or buried in the sunken ships in the bottom of the ocean. Okay?
Wow. Now, so you're saying that meant that equity did not count towards whatever currencies were created worldwide?
No, it was taken off market. This is a question of control. So, for example, the Thai royal family had lots and lots of gold, and they're not allowed to cash that, even to this day. The same with the Persian gold, which was shipped to Taiwan when the Shah of Iran fell, or shipped to Thailand when the Shah of Iran fell. But again, let's try to get to the thread. Let's try to stick to the plot here.
Understood.
We'll go back to this stuff later. So, 1944, Britain, France, and the United States were given a 50-year control over the global financial system. Okay? 50-year mandate. And they were supposed to develop and modernize the planet. However, the Roosevelt, it turns out, was poisoned, killed. He didn't just die, okay? And there was a fascist coup. And the military-industrial complex guys basically wanted, instead of the development of the planet, they wanted this Cold War between the Soviet Union and the West, which was part of this Gog-Magog plan, you know?
Right.
And in 1955, the non-aligned nations, that's a 77-nation group, including China, Indonesia, Yugoslavia, India, you know, they all said, look, this is crazy. We don't want to be part of this Cold War. And they had the historical rights to most of the Asian treasure.
Were most of the Asian countries represented in the non-aligned nations?
Oh, yeah. I mean, pretty well all of them.
How about South America?
South America, yeah, a lot of the countries are there, like Brazil, were a part of the non-aligned nations.
Okay, how about Africa?
Well, Africa was still a proxy colony. Look, you'd have to go back to the point is there's 77 nations. I don't have the list in front of me now.
Okay, that's fine.
But included most of the people on the planet, just not the Soviet Union and North America, the European peoples, basically.
Right.
And they said that they wanted to finance a Marshall Plan for Asia and Africa to modernize these regions.
This is the non-aligned nations that wanted this.
Yeah, and they pooled their treasure to finance this.
But you said this is illicit black
there's
market.
There's an international treaty that people who doubt me can look up. It's called the Hilton Green Memorial, okay?
Right, I've seen you talking about that.
Yes, well, this was a treaty where they wanted to finance a Marshall Plan for developing Asia and Africa and the rest of the world.
And they had as their asset base these blacklisted gold funds that were in Thailand?
Yes, and the signatory to all this money was President Sukarno of Indonesia, who happened to be related to most of the royal families, at least in Asia.
Oh, so that's why Indonesia then, is because he had a blood connection to these folks.
Yeah, and then they designated him as a signatory.
Okay.
And when the Cuban Missile Crisis came and the world nearly went to all-out nuclear war, a guy called Benjamin Friedman came out and basically admitted about these insane Gog-Magog plans. And Kennedy and a lot of people in the U.S. said, all right, this is crazy. We don't want any more of this secret society craziness. And he agreed to work with the non-aligned nations to end the Cold War and to finance the development of Africa and Asia. And then to keep the military-industrial people happy, he was going to, send a man to the moon and do that kind of stuff. And
so Benjamin Friedman, did he also blow the whistle on what was going on behind the Cuban Missile Crisis? Is that why you mentioned that?
Well, he said, yeah, they're trying to create this war on purpose so that they could take over the planet.
Gotcha.
Okay, there's plenty of evidence for this, but anyway, Kennedy got gold from Indonesia, and he put out Kennedy bonds and notes, dollar bills that were controlled by the U.S. Department of Treasury, not the privately owned Federal Reserve Board.
And that was Executive Order 11110, right?
Yeah, something like that. But he was killed, okay? And then Sukarno was driven from power, and...
By whom are you saying? Who drove Sukarno?
By the West, by the military-industrial complex.
Okay.
By the cabal, I call them.
Because...
the people who own the Federal Reserve Board, these Sabbatean sectists.
But couldn't the Asian societies designate a new signatory to bring these blacklisted funds online and try to create another currency that would compete with the dollar?
Well, they didn't have the military power, okay? Basically, what they did is they went underground. They didn't sign over anything, okay? We have Sukarno's nephew has signed over the rights to us now, but we'll get back to that.
Okay.
What happened was in 1968, they set up a fake heir, a fake signatory, and
they is the Asian societies?
This would be Henry Kissinger. No, this would be Henry Kissinger and the Rockefellers and all these people. The Bushes, the people behind the murder of Kennedy, the members of this Sabbatean cabal, okay?
They set up a fake heir to what?
Well, they forged the rights to use that money as a basis for issuing currency, for creating dollars.
They tried to
In other words, they didn't have the historical rights to 85% of the world's gold that was owned by the Asians. But they faked the rights. They forged documents to claim they had the rights.
So they wanted to repatriate this gold that they had taken out of the market before Bretton Woods was convened.